Welcome to the True Crime Never Sleeps podcast. I'm your host, Larry Leese. And on today's episode of Murder Monday, we dive into the murder of Lizzi Marriott. But first, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Audible, for sponsoring this episode. Audible is home to over thousands and thousands of audiobooks from any kind of genre, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, historical fiction, romance, sci-fi. The choices are endless. If you're interested in a free 3-month trial and audiobook at your choice, head on over to audibletrial.com/Larry21. And without that, and with further ado, let's head on over to today's story. Lizzi Marriott was a 19-year-old student at the University of New Hampshire. She was studying marine biology and was described as a bright, ambitious young woman with a passion for marine life. On October 9th, 2012, Lizzi went missing. She was last seen by her friends at a dinner party in Dover, New Hampshire. Lizzi's friends became concerned when they couldn't get in touch with her the following day. They knew it was out of character for her to not respond to their calls and texts. Her family was notified, and they immediately reported her missing to the police. The police began to investigate Lizzi's disappearance, interviewing friends and family, and conducting searches in the area. They also used social media to get the word out about Lizzi's disappearance, hoping that someone would come forward with information. Days turned into weeks, and there was still no sign of Lizzi. Her friends and family are devastated, and the community was on edge. Everyone was hoping for a breakthrough in the case, but it seemed like there was no leads. The disappearance of Lizzi Marriott was a mystery, and the longer she was missing, the more concerning it became. It wasn't until a month later that the police got a break in the case, and the truth about what had happened to Lizzi began to unfold. The investigation into the disappearance of Lizzi was extensive and involved multiple law enforcement agencies, including the FBI. Detectives and investigators interviewed numerous people, including friends, acquaintances, and family members of Lizzi. They also searched several locations where Lizzi was known to frequent, including the university campus and nearby parks and trails. As the investigation progressed, the police received a tip from an unlikely source. One of Lizzi's friends, who was also a student at the University of New Hampshire, came forward with information that led to the police to believe that Lizzi had been murdered. This friend was Mazzaglia, apologies, a young man who had been close to Lizzi. He was taken into custody and interrogated. It was during this interrogation that he eventually confessed to killing Lizzi. He told the police that he and his girlfriend, Catherine McDonough, had invited Lizzi to their apartment on the night of October 9th, where they had a consensual sexual encounter. However, after this encounter, things took a dark turn, and Seth Mazzaglia strangled Lizzi to death. His confession was corroborated by physical evidence found in his apartment, as well as by the testimony of Catherine, who agreed to testify against him in exchange for a lighter sentence. She told investigators that she and Seth had disposed of Lizzi's body by dumping it in the, apologies for butchering this name wrong, but Piscataqua River, where it was never found. The investigation into the murder of Lizzi Marriott was grueling and emotionally exhausting process for everyone involved. But through diligence and hard work of police, justice was finally served. The case also highlighted the dangers of trusting people you don't know well and the importance of being vigilant about personal safety. The trial of Seth, the man who was charged with the murder of Lizzi, began on May 27, 2014 in the Strafford County Superior Court in New Hampshire. The trial lasted for nearly a month, during which time prosecutors presented an overwhelming amount of evidence against Seth. Prosecutors used forensic evidence to show that he had strangled Lizzi to death and then disposed of her body in a river. They also presented evidence showing that Seth had attempted to cover up the murder by tampering with evidence and misleading investigators. In addition to physical evidence, prosecutors also presented the testimony of several witnesses who had interacted with Seth and Catherine in the weeks following Lizzi's disappearance. These witnesses testified that Seth had been acting strange and that he had made comments that suggested he knew more about Lizzi's disappearance than he was letting on. Seth's defense team attempted to argue that he was not responsible for Lizzi's death, and that McDonough had acted alone in killing her. However, this defense was quickly dismantled by the overwhelming amount of evidence presented by the prosecution. After several weeks of testimony, the jury deliberated for just under 24 hours before reaching a verdict. He was found guilty of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The trial of Seth was a high-profile case that drew national attention. The aftermath of the murder of Lizzi Marriott was devastating for her family and friends, as well as for the community at large. Her death was a tragic loss for everyone who knew her, and it left a deep scar on the town of Dover and the University of New Hampshire. Lizzi's family established the Lizzi Marriott Intrepid Explorer Fund in her memory, which provides scholarships and grants to students studying marine biology. The fund helps keep Lizzi's memory alive and supports a cause that was close to her heart. And that is all we have on this episode of Murder Monday, the murder of Lizzi Marriott. If you like our videos, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification button to be notified of future videos. Of course, if you want to support the channel, go ahead and buy us coffee at buymeacoffee.com/TCNS. And as always, thank you so much for watching and listening. Till next time, we'll see you later.